Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Reservations. We're your hosts. I'm Rain Whalen.
And I'm Jeremy Blair.
And we have our cool shirts on today.
We do. Check it out.
Jeremy's got his Langley Falls Bazooka Sharks.
Bazooka Sharks?
As you know, Jeremy and I are avid American Dad fans. It is probably Seth MacFarlane's best show.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
if any of our fans are Laser Rats fans, get out.
Yeah, get out. This is Bazooka Sharks territory. We'll see you, laser rats, in the Sharks' nest this coming Saturday for the playoffs.
Then I got my, if you can see it, I don't know if you can, my A24 shirt. I think I mentioned it on the podcast that I ordered this shirt.
Is it soft? I want to feel. It's not bad.
Well, you got to wash it a couple times.
You got to wash it?
To get maximum softness.
Yeah, you got to wash.
I wanted to wear my my Wonder Years pigeon shirt.
Oh.
But I had already worn it like a pleb. But, yeah. Well, welcome back, everyone.
Yeah.
I just got to say, our Tombstone episode is getting some traction.
It's getting crazy hits on Facebook. We're talking double digits, guys. It's insane.
I know.
It almost never gets that high.
Last I checked on the YouTube analytics, I think it had like 12 views.
It's not bad.
Well, it's not bad. Our Truman Show is like 24, but it's whatever.
Our Once Upon a Time in Hollywood has the most. It's got like 40 something.
Yeah. But
holding steady. Has not moved a muscle since then.
But I just want to say, I'm sure Jeremy would agree. Thank you to everyone who's been watching, liking the posts. Of course, they may just like the post because they see Tombstone. They're like, oh yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I think I have a strong suspicion that that's what it is.
Like, oh, Tombstone.
Yeah, I think the more popular the movie, the more likes we get. Just because,
I don't think anyone reads the
I think they just see the poster and they're like, oh, that's dope. I love Tombstone. You know what I mean?
You could have literally said like, I murdered 5 people today.
Yeah.
How was your day?
Like, what's up, Reservos? I confess about murdering JonBenet Ramsey. And then they're just going to be like, oh, cool, Tombstone.
Oh, yo. They did Tombstone, and then there's going to be that one person that was like, wait, did he just...
Wait, that guy said he killed JonBenet.
Wait, should we...
Everybody knows it was the little brother. But you know what? It doesn't matter. Or big brother, whatever.
I was about to say, like, little brother. Wasn't she the youngest child?
Yeah, I think she was. It was the brother.
We're already... My mom would be... If she was still on, she'd be yelling at us. Mom, if you're watching, thank you for being on last week. And sorry, we have already gotten off topic.
Wow.
So welcome back, everyone. If you listened to Tombstone last week, you will know that this episode is special for me because I specifically chose it to irritate Jeremy, but I do want to have a real discussion about it.
And we will.
And that is the 2013 version from director Baz Luhrmann of The Great Gatsby. As I mentioned, I think in The Road episode that I think the book is phenomenal. I have read the book. I have even been listening to it on Audible because it's narrated by Jake Gyllenhaal. Or as we talked about in, I think, the Prisoners episode, that it's actually like Gyllenhaal.
Yeah.
I think how they pronounce it on the Audible is like Gyllenhaal.
Yeah, I think,
or something.
The American pronunciation is Gyllenhaal. He's not even in this movie.
But anyways, but yeah, so I specifically chose movies after you chose Warrior because I wanted to talk about these other films that the actors in this movie had done. Because even though I do enjoy this movie a lot, I acknowledge that it has flaws.
Okay.
I acknowledge that not everything in the film is perfect, but I still enjoy it.
We'll agree a lot on those.
And I wanted to open the episode, and I told you I was going to do this, with a preface from the book. We used to have the cool
now. Can you
slip cover with the eyes of
who wrote the preface? Who wrote the
let us see. This is the first time.
Because I want to
preface by Matthew J. Bercoli.
Okay, cool.
Bercoli, Bruccoli.
You know how you never heard of this guy, ladies and gentlemen? You're about to find out because he's about to get this crazy.
So quote. I think this is a good quote to describe the book.
Sure.
Now I want to preface the preface by saying that I don't think this hits for the movie.
Okay.
But I do think that this sums up the book perfectly. This is the first paragraph of the preface. The Great Gatsby does not proclaim the nobility of the human spirit. It is not politically correct. It does not reveal how to solve problems of life. It delivers no fashionable or comforting messages. It is just a masterpiece. And I agree. The book and even the movie has no catharsis to it. There is no there's no comfort in the end of this story.
I'd agree.
At all.
Yeah.
I remember.
I mean, there was for me last night. As soon as the credits rung, I go, thank God.
Well, but as far as story,
I knew what you meant.
Yeah. Because at a surface level, and we're about to get into the movie, at a surface level, the story is what you think is a lost love story.
Yeah.
This guy trying to find the lost love of his life that he hadn't seen in 5 years. But underneath all of that is a story of identity, acceptance, in a time where you had to put on a front to be accepted. If you weren't throwing these lavish parties, no one really cares who you are. And that's kind of personified, and it's my segue into the movie, personified in Nick. No one, the only person who really truly genuinely cares for Nick until the end of the movie is his cousin Daisy. She doesn't care that he's not rich. She doesn't care that he's not famous. She actually appreciates that her cousin is, in a sense, simple.
Well, and here's something about that is everybody else introduces him as a writer because
Right.
that's more unique
Than
that
stockbroker
yeah, which is interesting.
or bond salesman.
It goes to the idea that if you're not special, you're boring, right? No in between,
Right.
right.
Yeah, and so that's what true. Would you at least agree with me on that? That's the underlining. The under that is what this story is about. Is
Yeah, sure.
Well, and we'll get there. Why? And I'll double down on this. But
Fine.
So Jeremy, before we really get into the movie,
Yeah.
what did you think of it? Because I know this is the first time you've ever seen this
Yes,
version.
this is the one I've seen. This one I have seen the Robert Redford one.
So
it's been years. I might as well have not seen it at all.
before you give me your opinion, I actually tried to watch the Robert Redford version, and I immediately found it very boring.
It's extremely boring. Yeah.
Because I'd already seen this version, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, it was super boring. I saw it in high school, and actually, I think my hatred for the book started in high school because because our teacher just had us watch the movie. She was like, I hate this book. It's stupid. Let's watch the movie. And I'm like, right on.
Well, see, I never got to read the book in high school. I didn't read it until this version of the movie was announced, and I was like, that's a book, isn't it? And so I wanted to read the book before the movie came out.
Yeah.
And the book isn't long.
No.
I think it's one of Fitzgerald's, not necessarily shorter books, but I think it's among some of his shorter books. And so I read it, fell in love with it, but anyway, so what was your opinion?
Okay. So
because now we have my situation where it was fresh eyes for you.
Yeah, fresh eyes for me. As soon as it starts, I immediately just recognize it's vibrant, right?
Which is
it is extremely vibrant. I mean,
one of Baz Luhrmann's
trademarks.
Right?
Yeah. If you've seen Moulin Rouge, if you've seen Romeo plus Juliet,
that's really the only.
Okay.
I think he's made more, but
Australia is another one.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I haven't seen that. Mom loves Australia. She's seen that one a bunch of times. I've never seen it. I don't know.
It's great, but I wouldn't say a future pick.
No.
Because I annoy you enough with Wes Anderson. So, but anyway.
Okay. So
very vibrant.
It's very vibrant. I was on board until Daisy reconnects with Gatsby. And then it dragged. And I was like, what is happening? I'm so bored. get to the car wrecks or I'm leaving. You know what I mean? And knowing some of the story, I had forgotten some things. I had thought initially that the mistaken identity with the cars was going to be a bigger deal. That it was going to be more of a
plot point.
Yeah, or more of a mystery, or not a mystery to us, the audience, but to the characters to say who actually hit Myrtle, right? Yeah. And it was solved like that. I mean, it was like super easy. As soon as Joel Egerton pulls up in his blue car, that was it. It was over, right? I mean, mystery solved. And so I thought that was, going to be a bigger deal. At least I thought it was a bigger deal in the book. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. Maybe it was just solved that quickly. I have no idea.
So even though I've read the book and I've listened to the audiobook, my brain is not working. So I can't remember if it is a bigger deal in the book.
That's okay. And so I was like, okay. And then I had thought initially that I remembered Gatsby dying. Spoiler alert, sorry.
He dies?
And I guess I didn't remember why, and it was for the exact reason he should have been shot, which was he killed Myrtle, right? So,
well, that's that's what the characters think. Technically, Daisy killed Myrtle, but that's neither here nor there.
Either way,
Gatsby's to blame.
Right, and so I was like, oh, okay, so I guess justice is kind of served that way. But in your point too, there is no catharsis not even in for the audience. There is no catharsis for the audience. There is there's closure for Gatsby because he thinks Daisy's on the phone, and that's as much as he needs to know, right? Mm-hmm. We as the audience realize it's not Daisy. She never Nick. Called, and it's Nick. And so really the sort of anti-catharsis, the anti-closure is on the audience, not necessarily
because right after Gatsby gets shot, Nick kind of checklists that we had, his funeral, people who never even knew him were there. And then Wolfshire, the man that Gatsby... Me and Ashley have tried to figure out their relationship. Mm-hmm. He and his cronies go in and just take everything out of the house because they never really cared about Gatsby as a friend. They just saw him.
Was he the
weird dude with the molar type?
The molar type. In the book, they're cufflinks, right?
Yes.
That they're people's molars. That was actually that guy's first movie ever.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, he laid in on the creepy.
Yeah, he did. He was very creepy.
I wouldn't be surprised if Tobey Maguire was legitimately scared after that scene.
So, all right. So overall, I would say I didn't like it. There are things I like about it. There are elements in this that I enjoyed.
Well, see, I knew there were parts that you would... I apologize for moving, everyone. I'm trying to something new for this. There were parts I knew you'd really like.
There was... All right, so things that I really liked was... I liked the idea of having characters standing in front of stock footage instead of creating just a flashback.
Like when...
Like when they're talking about Gatsby in the war, right? He's just standing in front of,
old actual war footage.
Right, actual World War I footage, right? Or clippings of newspapers, stuff like that.
Right.
They did a similar thing with Buchanan, right? Mm-hmm. And I liked that. That was cool. There's a movie I really, really like called Experimenter, with Peter Skarsgård as, oh my God, Obedience to Authority is the book, and it is Dr. Stanley Milgram. He plays Dr. Stanley, but it doesn't matter. Oh, and so that film is shot, and you'd love it because it's fourth wall breaks galore, where the characters are standing in front of a projection of a black and white photo of a scene instead of being in the actual space, right? And so it reminded me of that, and I kind of like that.
Okay.
And I can see why, because this is a total Baz Luhrmann thing, which is putting modern music in a period piece, right? He does the same thing in Moulin Rouge, which I watched 20 minutes of, and I got a headache.
I'll give you a pass on because, I've never seen it, but I've seen scenes, and I'm like...
It's completely overwhelming. And there are points in this where it is also very overwhelming, but it's on purpose, right?
Right.
I think in Moulin Rouge... I was talking to a friend of mine at work, Wendy, and she was telling me, because she loves Moulin Rouge and she likes, like, you know, Broadway musicals and things like that. She was telling me that Baz Luhrmann assumes you know the story already, right?
Oh, okay.
And so he's just throwing you in, right? And so that's why it kind of feels overwhelming and chaotic. And I think he kind of maybe assumes you know this story also.
Yeah.
There are moments, especially with the green light at the dock, where, you know, it's like, remember? Look, you remember the story. And
you know this, right?
And I'm like, no.
It's like the kid from Big Mouth, you know him. I assure you I don't.
And I didn't. And so, things I liked. So, again, I really did enjoy the vibrance of the movie. I think that
it really played with.
It's an extreme, and I kind of like that.
Well, and I feel like the vibrance really helps with really showing how the 20s was.
Yes, and we'll talk more about the first party scene that
Nick attends.
that Nick is invited to. That's where the chaos takes place. The other parties aren't like that, because we are seeing it from his point of view, right? This thing is just gigantic, and it's, you know, an insane place to be, right? So that's why that's a little chaotic.
But anyway.
Oh, Carey Mulligan. We discussed before, and I'm sure my arm is
blocked.
You can't see it right now. Sorry. We need to get better at that. But you were saying that, I think a few episodes back, that the reason you were picking movies with actors so you can see them at their best, so you can see them in this.
Yeah.
I think that you were right to do so, because yes, these are not their best performances. But Carey Mulligan...
Oh, she's amazing.
In everything. And so Carey Mulligan, I think, is the only one that I would say is giving a phenomenal performance.
Well, I agree, but not technically disagree, but because I think her and Leo are the ones shining through. Because I'm going to be honest, I think, as we mentioned in our season 1 premiere of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Leo can do no wrong. I think he always puts 100% into every performance. We don't have to talk about Critters 3. I'm sure he doesn't talk about Critters 3. Because he really plays up the act that is Jay Gatsby, New Money, which I really want to talk about.
Yeah, we'll talk
that.
about new and old. Yeah.
With the Old Sport. One of the times,
Dude,
was it killing you?
Killing me.
So
and I'm
it's
sure
worse in the book.
I can't imagine.
One of the times I was watching it, I wanted to count, because I was like, I know he says it to
IMDb counted for you.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, we will get there in a second. But because he says it to play up the act that I'm rich, I've got money. This is how rich people are supposed to talk.
Hate it.
Because that's how his mentor talked. But anyway, I tried to count it, and I lost track after like 73. And that was within 20 minutes, if I remember correctly. Like a 20 to 30 minute span after we finally meet Jay Gatsby. 20, 30 minutes later, I'd counted it 73 times.
I think you may have overcounted.
Probably.
Because it's not even that many throughout the whole movie.
It was, but I was just like, because I was like, oh my God, what number am I on? And then, by the time I had lost track, we're already at Jay and Daisy having an affair. And I was just like, I'm done. I'm not going to count this anymore.
Yeah, it's about 55.
55. Okay, then I was way off.
But it seems like it's 1,000.
Yeah.
Because he just says it in every time he's with somebody, right?
Well, and like I said, it's worse in the book.
I can't imagine.
I wonder if Jake Gyllenhaal had a hard time, like, please don't make me say this again.
I mean, I wanted to talk about that because that was driving me insane. And I think it's a silly thing to nitpick because, it's true to the book. Mm-hmm. And I don't even know if it's true to the time. I mean, the book was written in 1925. But yeah. I don't know if people really did talk like that, or if he was putting a little stank on it for this guy.
Probably. I mean, Fitzgerald I'm sure, was really trying to drive home the point that Gatsby doesn't really belong in this world, or doesn't know how to belong.
And they mention it. I mean, in the movie.
Flashbacks, yeah.
Well, and they mention it. Buchanan mentions that he says it a lot, right? When they're in the hotel room.
I think so.
I don't know why they were in a hotel room.
Because it's hot.
Oh, because
it's hot, and they want to go to the city.
That's right.
Because they think they'll cool down when they get to the city.
Wrong.
Rich people problems.
Yeah, that's champagne problems. So I would say that overall, of course, no, I didn't like it. But those things are the things I really enjoyed.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, I do know this. I say, I acknowledge that this movie has flaws. It's not a perfect movie. Critics didn't like it. And I could see, certain parts I could see why. The things... So we talked about the things you liked. I'm going to talk about the things I dislike.
Oh.
Which are, one, the focus in the movie is more shifted towards Nick. Like, yes, the book is from Nick's perspective, but Fitzgerald wrote Gatsby more as a central character. And yes, there's a lot we don't know about him in the book because we are seeing it from Nick's perspective. But the movie is more shifted to Nick's perspective. This is all he knows. And that's all she wrote,
Is the him at the doctor's?
No. So in the book, we don't know what happens to Nick after everything.
Cool.
And I'm going to chalk this as up to something I like.
Oh.
Because we kind of know, we have an explanation of what happened to Nick after all of this.
I don't know. I might be the opposite on that one because at first when he was talking, I was like, oh, no wonder Rain likes this. He's fourth wall breaking. And then he's like talking to the doctor. I was like, wait, he's talking to the doctor like that?
Nah, yeah. In the book,
he's talking in narration. I don't like that.
Well, so in the book, we don't know what happens to Nick after all of this, because the book isn't read as Nick is telling us the story. It's just the story is being told.
I see.
But it is from Nick's perspective.
I see. So this is a sort of...
They shifted it to, it's all from Nick. I mean, again, like I said, the book is from Nick's perspective, but everything in the movie is from Nick's perspective.
Got it.
So I do like that we have an explanation to what happened to Nick. Sidebar, as I learned, Ashley told me, since, as we mentioned last week, since Great Gatsby is public domain now, someone actually wrote a sequel.
That's what Wendy was telling me.
Called Nick, where it's all about Nick, which I find kind of interesting. May have to pick that up to see, but anyway, so the things I disliked, I dislike that it is all primarily Nick.
Okay.
Except for certain parts, like Nick in the sanatorium.
Do you think if it was a better actor, you'd care as much?
No, I think Toby does. I mean, okay, look. I love Tobey Maguire. He was the first Spider-Man.
He's great. I mean, I love him as Spider-Man. Yeah.
That's why I brought up Pleasantville. That's why I didn't choose Spider-Man. I chose Pleasantville because I felt like that was mainly also because to really keep you off the scent of what I was doing. I would have
never figured it out because I don't think about this movie.
But I mean, there are certain parts in the film where I'm like, Toby, come on, man.
Yeah. It's funny to think that he and
Leo are best friends.
And since childhood. And I think that, obviously they're best friends just because they've been, they're friends because they're friends, right? But I feel like, if they had been friends by way of status in Hollywood, they wouldn't be friends anymore.
Oh, absolutely. Because, I mean, Leo's got an Oscar and Toby hasn't really done much.
Toby's not what I would... I don't know Toby. Tobey Maguire is not someone who I consider a great actor, right?
He's a good actor.
Yeah, he's fine. And again, he flourishes in Spider-Man 1 and 2.
We don't have to talk about 3.
No.
Well, and it wasn't his fault. And it wasn't Sam Raimi's fault. It was Sony's fault. But that's a story for another day.
Yes, Sony, come at us. All right.
But please give me free stuff.
I agree that it was a little too much Nick. I didn't read the book, so I would just assumed this is exactly what it was like. I thought Baz Luhrmann would sort of,
I mean, he
lean more into the adaptation than I thought. But I mean, I should have known better.
Because, like I said, I do enjoy this movie, but when I bought it on Blu-ray, I watched the special features like crazy, and Baz really wanted to, and in certain parts, he wanted to make a very faithful adaptation, because he said, like, you know, he feels like no one's really tackled a true adaptation of this book yet, and he wants to be the one to do it because at that time he owned the rights to the book. So he was like, I wanna be able to, for people to leave this movie thinking that, and obviously he had to take license in certain parts, but anyway, some other things I dislike, and we're gonna get, and I want to talk about this at length. Certain parts, modern music doesn't work.
Okay, I agree.
Like the party scenes, it works perfectly.
I would even argue it worked the first day and night that Nick went to the city.
Oh, with Tom.
I think it works there also, only because, and I wrote it down, it puts the craziness of that night into a modern perspective. So teenagers who are watching this will understand, oh, this is like going crazy on a Friday night.
Right.
Right. But for the 1920s.
Right.
Right. And so I think it works there, and I think it works at the parties. Nowhere else.
Yes. The one place I hate it the most is when we meet Meyer and they go into the speakeasy, which is so strange because Nick opens the film saying how the ban on alcohol has been lifted, so, you know, it was cheap. So why are they still hanging out in speakeasies? But I don't know. Anyway.
And that's also not true in a historical context, I don't think, either.
I know. But anyway, and it starts to play $100 bills that Jay-Z wrote for the movie. Because, like I said, I want to talk about the music at length. But as you know, Jay-Z was a music consultant for the movie. But anyway, so it starts playing, and it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't work. Like, I understand why they chose it, you know, because now we're entering this other world that Nick has never been in before, a speakeasy, where all of these government officials and high office people like the commissioner, you know, the mayor are all here in this speakeasy. And so I understand why they chose a hip hop song, but it didn't fit with what was happening in the scene, you know?
I agree. I think that in terms of music, I personally like the music of the 20s in period pieces. Like if you watch Boardwalk Empire, first off, watch Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah. Shout out, I forgot his name.
Buscemi's
and
Scorsese.
And Michael Pitt. Shout out Michael Pitt. First two seasons. Oh, spoiler. So it's okay. It's been off the air for like what?
Watch Boardwalk Empire.
5 years.
It's incredible, and of course the music with the clarinet heavy jazz and with the flapper. It works. It fits. It's perfect. I love it.
And there's very little. We get very little of that in this movie. I mean, there are scenes where we can hear it, you know, but as you mentioned at the beginning of the episode, this is something that Baz does. He incorporates modern with, you know, a period. Like, let's take... You probably said the title correctly. I'm not going to say it correctly because I'm not going to give him that credit. Romeo and Juliet, or as the official title is, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, with also Leo DiCap.
Yep. Claire Danes.
And Claire Danes. A modern setting, but they speak...
Yes.
In what was written.
Right. So they didn't change the dialogue. They just changed the setting. Right.
Which, that is something, I know you're going to hate me, but for sure that's a future episode, just because I like that he did that.
No, I mean, it's a rad take on it. We watched it in high school a few years before I saw The Great Gatsby.
But we're not talking about that one. But anyway, but like, again, you know, using modern things.
And again, it's a little different because, again, that's set in modern day, wherever they are. I don't even remember.
I think it's Los Angeles. Yeah, because they say Venice Beach. Because, it's... Anyway.
Right.
That's a flaw for that movie.
And then
that's
in this
too
one,
on the nose.
he's just using modern music in still this 1920. If he had put Gatsby in 2013...
Which,
I think it'd be a little different.
I've had that thought. I'm like, what if someone makes an adaptation of The Great Gatsby in modern times? But I don't think it would work.
It'd be hard.
It would be hard because...
so much of it has to do with it being 1922.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that's... I'm trying to think... Because I was talking to Ashley last night about some of the things I dislike about the movie. So...
I'll tell you one of the things I really didn't like.
Okay.
And maybe you agree. So this movie came out the same year as Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it should have. 2013. Maybe Wolf of Wall Street is 2014. But
I think so.
Similar time. Okay.
For Leo.
There's a scene in The Wolf of Wall Street where they are walking off of a yacht and walking on this dock where water is, on either side, and they're walking to the shore or whatever. It's perfect. It's not real. It's all blue screen, right? And it looks incredible.
I know where you're going with
Not this one.
I know
Not this one.
Ooh, so I'm assuming you're referencing the first time we sort of see Gatsby walking on the dock.
No, that one didn't bother me as much. It was near the end of the film when they're on his dock and he is telling Nick all of his secrets.
All his
right?
secrets.
And
right,
I'm like, that looks horrendous.
There is a lot of blue screen that...
Honestly, I wish they would have kept the blue screen to the parties, only because I think it makes it look otherworldly, right? And maybe anything in Gatsby's house can be blue screen.
Well,
that's fine, but everywhere else can't be.
Yeah, this is another one of my dislikes is, they CGI'd New York completely, and I was like, why did they do that? And Ashley was like, well, because, New York doesn't look like that now. I'm like, yeah, but there are other movies that didn't use that much CGI to make, especially New York, Martin Scorsese, I mean, this is a dramatic example, but Gangs of New York.
Oh, yeah.
Like I said, that's a dramatic example because they probably just use sets.
Yeah.
But still...
I think maybe Luhrmann was just trying to make it look...
like it did.
The way he wants to shoot it, right? With these swooping camera moves and these, superimposing, things and blah, blah, blah. It all does have to be blue screen. I get that. And I remember when the movie was coming out, they were showing behind the scenes footage for some of the TV spots. Mm-hmm. And it was just him in a completely blue room, right? Directing these actors. And I was like, I hope it looks good.
Yeah.
The
most real that they used, I know for a fact, the pool is real.
Yes, and that pool looks great.
And that pool was not originally there when they found that house.
Oh.
That was a garden.
Okay, cool.
And Baz was like, that's perfect.
I need a pool here.
And they dug it up, made it into a pool.
And it's deep.
Oh, yeah, man.
Anyway, as someone who's been in pools their entire life, that's a good pool.
He used to be a swimmer. Come at him, Michael Phelps.
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, bitch. No, don't. I haven't swam.
He would dunk on you.
So I was a professional swimmer for 10 years. Okay, professional. I was a competitive swimmer. Michael Phelps is a professional swimmer. I was a competitive swimmer for 10 years. It's been 10 years since I've done that.
Really?
So,
but we graduated. Oh, yeah. No, it has been 10 years. I was like, we graduated in 2011. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's 2021.
It's 2021. So it's been 10 years since I've done that. So Michael Phelps.
Don't. Is he even still swimming?
Ryan Lochte, though.
Oh, dude. Ryan Lochte would.
I'll take your ass. No problem, bitch. Come at me. All right, go ahead.
So we've talked about our likes and our dislikes. Well, you talked about your likes. I talked about my dislikes. I want to talk about, and because I mentioned this in the road episode, Baz uses a lot of visual clues in the movie.
Yeah, I wanted to know what you meant by that.
So what I meant, and I said it wrong. I didn't mean visual clues. He's using the visuals in the book. So a lot of the dialogue is directly from the book, like straight word for word out of the book. Like with Jordan's whole comment of, I like big parties. They're so intimate. Small parties, there's no privacy. That's directly from the book. But Baz also takes a lot of, I should have said descriptive words. There we go. Descriptive words from the book and implements them in the movie. So when Nick is talking about, he bought, 11 red issues of, stocks and bonds so he can learn. That's exactly how Fitzgerald describes the books. Red bound leather with gold lining, with gold lettering. It's exactly how he describes it. Almost everything in the film is exactly how Fitzgerald describes it, which I love. That's one of the things that I enjoy about it, is that Baz really brought the words to life.
Yeah, the Coen brothers are very similar. In No Country for Old Men, the gun he uses in the very beginning is spot on perfect, the way Cormac McCarthy describes it, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're right. I mean, that's important for an adaptation, and especially for fans of the book and the source materials, to be able to say, oh, that's exactly what they look like, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was picturing in my mind, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so I should have said that. So I apologize to everyone who watched the listened or watched the Road episode, and I said visual clues.
Well, let's be honest. You probably more than likely listened to it. We've seen the numbers.
Yeah. I meant descriptive clues. Well, whatever. You get it. I'm tired of explaining myself. I don't have to explain myself to you. So that's something that's one of the big reasons why I enjoy this movie, is that the visuals are amazing. Mm-hmm. Even though we just kind of shit on all the blue screen. But
yeah,
other than the blue screen, everything else is, I think, phenomenal. Boz, he cameos in the movie, right?
Yes, he's one of the waiters.
One of the waiters who stops Nick. But Boz has a very strange way of seeing the world when doing his cinematography, because it's not the best. It's good, but it's
are we about to find out what you mean by that?
Just what I mean is, like, certain shots are perfect, like the sequence when Gatsby's throwing all his shirts.
Oh, the shirts, yeah.
It's beautifully shot because we see all these nice colors. But then, when we meet Tom for the first time and he's playing polo, I've just never liked that shot.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Okay. Hey, I don't blame you.
But that's why I just wanted to talk about that. So now the real reason why I also picked this movie was also to talk about the cast.
Okay.
So we kind of touched on it a little bit, of me feeling like Leo gives 100%, even though, the movie is not perfect, but he still gives 100% for the role. It's very strange seeing him with blonde hair.
Yeah.
Because in virtually almost every other movie, he's dark hair. But he kills it, man. He plays the new money. He just does a great job, especially in the sequence when he's alone with Daisy for the first time in 5 years. He's nervous, which is strange because every time we've seen Gatsby up to this point, he's been very confident and knows, and it's a testament to Leo's acting, in my opinion. Joel Edgerton. So in the book, Tom is way worse. Like, he's Grandpa Joe level awful in the book.
Grandpa Joe is the worst villain to ever
grace the screen.
Grace the screen.
Yeah. In the Screen Rant pitch meeting where they're like, he's a bad guy, right? And they're like, I don't know. But yeah, so in the book, Tom is horrendous.
Yeah.
So, like, in the sequence when, he and Myrtle are fighting in front of everyone, and he slaps her in the movie.
Yeah.
In the book, he actually breaks her arm.
Oh, nice.
Like, he really hurts her. In the movie, I mean, yeah, slapping a woman is awful, but in the movie, it's almost like Baz tried to make him somewhat likable, even though this dude cheats on his wife and then abuses his mistress.
Yeah.
But still, Joel does a good job of playing the asshole.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was,
especially with his hallway of triumphs.
Yes, that's how you can figure out, oh, I'm not going to like this guy. Is he goes, hey, look at this trophy. No, look at this one. And this one.
A normal douchebag would just have a room. Tom's got a hallway, so you have to walk through the hall and see all his accomplishments. All state, as he says.
All state.
Every time.
Well, I mean, hey, he's all state.
He can go fuck himself.
Hey, when you're all state, you're all state. I mean, it's like, you can't argue with the results.
Yeah. We've already kind of talked about Toby, but we can talk for like 8 hours about Carey Mulligan.
Yeah, Carey Mulligan is incredible.
Yeah, she
is in everything. I mean, when we did our Inside Llewyn Davis.
Well, see, it hit me while I was rewatching it. I was like, yeah, because I wanted to do a movie with her, but I couldn't, like, it was like, when someone asks you, what's your favorite movie? And you're like, what's a movie? I've never seen a movie. And then after you've left, you're like, oh, that was my favorite.
Oh, you mean like, motion pictures.
Oh, moving pictures?
Oh, right. 24 frames a second. I knew that.
But like, so I couldn't think of any, so that's why I didn't choose one for Carey Mulligan.
I do have my favorite Carey Mulligan movie, which may be a possible episode for this season because it's really sad. It is Steve McQueen's Shame with Michael Fassbender.
I really want to see...
her performance is amazing.
I really want to see Promising Young Woman.
Oh, yeah, I do too.
Anyway, she is amazing. It's hard to believe. Again, I think we mentioned it in the Inside Llewyn Davis episode. It's hard to believe she's actually British.
Yeah. Her and
Joel Edgerton.
Well, and what's her face? She was in Tenet. She played the golfer.
Yeah, and she's also in Guardians of the Galaxy Vol. 2.
Right.
Aisha.
I think her accent wasn't as great, but Carey Mulligan's and Joel Edgerton's.
Yeah, you really would believe that they're from upstate New York.
Yeah, she's amazing. I'm a big fan of Carey Mulligan's.
Yeah, she plays, because Daisy, the character of Daisy is, it's really hard to kind of pin down Daisy because she's, moments she's a hopeless romantic, other moments she's a woman that's been beaten down by a marriage with a man that doesn't really love her. Well, I wouldn't say doesn't really love her, doesn't appreciate her. And that's why in the sequence where she's talking to Nick about how she's just become very cynical, lightweight, as a rich white woman in the 20s, living in West Egg or East Egg. She's become very cynical.
Yeah. But
she's become very cynical in this life. And so Daisy is just this weird... I wouldn't say weird. I would say she's the most complicated character of the entire story because... Yeah,
she's being pulled in a lot of different directions.
Especially when her and Gatsby's affair starts.
Right.
She deeply loves him. If anyone heard that, my wife just made a sale on Etsy. But, she deeply loves Gatsby. But... in the 20s, it was not, I wouldn't say common, but like women didn't just divorce their husbands and shoot over to another relationship.
You're right. And I think when they are in that hotel room, trying to beat the heat.
And I feel like just like with Do the Right Thing, that scene, because of the heat.
You can feel it, right? You can feel the
heat. It's tense.
Have we done an episode of Do the Right Thing?
I would love to.
I don't know if we have, right?
We mentioned it during 80s month.
Got it.
But we didn't do a full in-depth, even though I loved... because that's what... When you told me like that people have come up to Spike Lee and asked him like...
Oh, yeah. Only white people do that.
Did he do the right thing?
Only white people do that.
That immediately interested me in seeing the movie.
Yeah.
Got it on Criterion. Loved it. Yeah. I would love to do a full episode.
Shout out to Criterion.
Shout out to Criterion. Give us free stuff.
Okay, so when they're in there, and yes, you can feel the heat. I mean, it's insane. I think she is the most complicated character because she is being pulled in all these different directions, especially in this scene. Mm-hmm. And that's when she's kind of like, not really giving a straight answer to either guy, because it's like, I'm so sick of this, right? I'm so tired.
Tom is pretty much, are you leaving me and going to him? Or are you leaving him and staying with me? What are you doing? And Gatsby's like, yeah, leave him. Come, like we've always been meant to be together, and then I would say if anyone's also being pulled in a lot of different directions, it's Nick.
Yeah. Because
Nick, since the beginning of the movie, witnesses Tom cheating, and can't say anything. Met Gatsby, who Gatsby starts pulling him in different directions. Daisy is the most complicated, but I think Nick is the most stretched thin character.
I agree.
But especially in this scene, it was designed to everything comes to a head. Everything that we've seen up to this point, it's gonna explode, which it literally does. Gatsby almost beats the shit out of Tom, which I think he should have. But had he done that, which doing what he did anyway, made Daisy already kind of spiral and be like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be with him. Which
I didn't like that Buchanan was picking on him for his pink suit. I thought that suit was rad.
Yeah, that suit was tight.
Yeah, that suit was dope, man. I was like,
Buchanan can go fuck himself.
Yeah, that's what's up, because I was looking at that suit. I was like, that's dope. And then,
I gotta go get me one of those.
And then he's all like, the guy with the pink suit. I go, yeah, the raddest pink suit I've ever seen.
Yeah, bruh. So, as they said in 2006, real men wear pink.
Yeah, I remember that. It was a real stepping stone for us men.
Yes.
In fashion. So I think what made me laugh and where I was like, that was strange, but maybe not for the time, was Daisy didn't seem to have too much of a problem of the idea that Nick might be in love with her for a second.
Oh, right.
She was like, oh, he is in love with me.
Like, do you like...
Gross.
Are you in love with me? Yeah, because they're cousins twice removed. I think that's why they're twice removed.
Okay. Well,
they're not full blood relatives, but yeah, still that's some Alabama shit.
Yeah, that's how you just got reservoed. Bam!
You've just been dadded.
No one is safe.
Shout out to our Alabama fans. I'm sure we have them. We love you guys.
There's no way we have them. Say hi to your sister cousin for me.
Oh man, we're gonna get some comments now, bruh.
So, besides the weird Alabama incest thing,
I mean, they are from Louisville.
All right. So that was the thing that the only thing about Daisy, I was like, that was weird.
Yeah, that she was for sure. Like, he is in love with me.
And she was like kind of cool with it. She was like,
okay, all right, if I'm cheating on anyone, I guess it's my cousin.
And I did think that their relationship was odd. When they first, like, when we were introduced to Daisy, it was seen through POV. This was Nick's point of view.
Which, sidebar, another scene that that's exactly how it's described in the book, with the flowing curtains that are see-through, but in the book, Jordan and Daisy, I guess, were napping. I want to know what the fuck they were doing in the movie, because you could hear them giggling.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. I mean, like, Jordan's pretty cool.
I mean, is Daisy just, like, fluid with her sexuality?
I think so.
I mean, she wants to bone her cousin, apparently.
Or at least doesn't hate the idea.
Or, yeah, doesn't hate the idea.
Doesn't hate the idea.
God, man, this episode's taking a weird turn now.
Let me look at my notes real fast. You talk about something. Wow, what are words, huh? So, I do want to talk about... So, it's not so much the movie's fault. It's the story's fault. So, I do have problems with the story as a whole.
See, I knew you did.
Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff in there that I really don't like. And that one of them is when they are having tea, dinner, lunch, breakfast, I don't know, with Gatsby at the Buchanan residence first. This is before they go into town.
Right.
Gatsby goes, that's my house over there. And then Buchanan's like, is it? And I'm like, dude, you were there the other day.
Oh, yeah.
How do you not know that's his house? You were just there.
I think it was because Tom really didn't want to be there, so he wasn't paying attention to where they were.
Maybe. I don't know.
I never noticed that.
Yeah, and I was like, how in the world? I wrote it down. I was like, how does he not know where Gatsby's house is?
Because he turns around too. Is it?
It's like, yeah, man. Yeah. You were just... Anyway, so I didn't like that. But, of course, my biggest problem with the story has always been the car switching, I think is odd.
Like when they switch the car when they go into town.
Or like, hey, I'll take your yellow car, you take my blue one. It's like, why? You know what I mean? I never understood that. To me, it was just a way to create this very
intricate problem.
Or just to set up this mistaken identity plot for 2 seconds.
Because it's almost like Tom knew something was going to happen.
Or something. It's very odd to me, and I've never liked that.
Because I don't think we get an explanation in the book. I can't remember.
No.
I think in the book, it happens like it does in the movie. They switch cars when they're going into town.
And then they switch back when they go back.
Into town. Into the city. And then when they leave the hotel, when Gatsby offers to take Daisy home, they take his car, and then that's when Myrtle, thinking it's Tom driving the car...
Because they had just saw Tom in the car. By the way, Jason Clarke. Shout out to Jason Clarke.
Jason Clarke is awesome.
I'm a big fan of his also.
We for sure absolutely have to do The Devil All the Time as a future episode.
Oh, I was going to say Zero Dark 30, but sure. Either way.
Did you watch The Devil All the Time?
Yeah.
I liked it.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, he's great in that, and he's also good in Zero Dark 30.
He, with what little screen time Jason Clarke was given, homie, he tried his best.
I thought he did great.
I mean, I did too, but there's one line that I can't stand. When I first saw the movie in theaters, I was like, okay. And then subsequent watches, I've loathed this line. It's when we meet Myrtle, Isla Fisher, who, great Bronx accent.
Yeah, it is really good.
Because she's Australian, I think.
I think so. And I mean, she has lots of help. She has an expert at home.
Sasha is... He's British.
Well, he's great at accents.
Well, that's true. But anyway, Sacha Baron Cohen. Shout out to Sacha Baron Cohen.
Hey, bud.
Hey, buddy. What was it like to be inside an elephant's hoo-ha?
Oh, my God.
Brothers Grimsby. Uh-huh. Anyway, so we meet her, and she's doing the whole, like, get some chairs, why don't you?
Yeah.
And he says it twice. He says, like, oh, yeah, sure, I'll get the chairs. Yeah. And it's the second time that I hate. Yeah, sure. I'll get the chairs. And it's like, just get the fucking chairs.
I think it's funny too, because I think that maybe in our society, we are so used to this being strictly just for children. But he goes, you want some candy? To another adult. I think that's funny.
And he's offering him soda.
I know it's not supposed to be funny, but he was just like, you want some candy? You know?
Mr. Buchanan, you want some candy? And he's like got his hand like fistful of like saltwater taffy or some shit.
First off, saltwater taffy is amazing. So I would have definitely said yes, please. But
it's like, oh, I don't want your wife anymore, dude. Bro, hook me up with that saltwater taffy.
That watermelon, what's up?
What's up with that?
So, like, I mean, that part makes me laugh also, just because for me, it's silly to have an adult say, do you want some candy to another adult? It's funny.
And then start offering him soda.
Now, I think that, of course, that might have been, 1920s, candy is awesome, right?
Well, I mean, it's gotten way more awesome since the 20s.
That's true.
Fun dip? Just throw the sticks away and just snort the dip. Don't actually snort the dip. Please don't do that.
This episode's got completely off the rails.
Dude, this episode has gone way off the rails. I think this is
insane.
This is probably going to be the highest point of the season of Downers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give you a little light after all of Jeremy's Dark.
Yes. Oh, there's a lot more to come.
Now, I wanted to get your opinion on this.
Sure.
Because I've asked Ashley, and she agrees with me. Why do you think... Shortly after we meet Myrtle and I don't know her husband's name, Jason Clarke. We're just going to say it was Jason Clarke. Shortly after we meet her and we realize that this is Tom's mistress, They go to the secret apartment and they start slamming away.
Yeah, dude.
What was your opinion of Nick just sitting there?
Well, I don't remember if it was before or after this, but Tom does make fun of him for liking to watch. Was that before or after that?
So okay. So it's when the sound effects, great sound effects, by the way. Like for a PG-13 movie, man, I was like, they're on top of this.
Wow.
So the if you watch this with subtitles, it says thumping. As the thumping gets louder, Nick's finally like, okay, I gotta go, and he opens the door, and Myrtle's sister is there with all her fucking friends, and he is trying so hard to get out of there.
Yeah.
And that's when Tom's like, look, I know you like to watch. No, I don't judge.
Oh, okay. So that was after. So
yeah, my long-winded explanation of it was after Tom was, had lost 10 pounds.
I mean, I don't know, man. Like, I would just say that, well, maybe he's just...
Here's the question I pose. If he thought they were going to the Yale Club, why didn't he bail when as soon as they shut the door?
I don't know.
I told Ashley, I was like, if that was me, I would have bailed the minute they shut the door. Been like, oh, yeah, you guys have fun. Okay. Fuck.
Well, maybe it's less about what would you do, but more of why is Nick Carraway so weird?
So Nick is also, like I mentioned, I feel like he's the most stretched thin character. I should have prefaced it when first time I said that, not in terms of writing.
It also might be a comedic, element that he's just, that it's he's in a weird situation that he wasn't prepared for.
And so he doesn't know what to do.
Right. And so instead of,
bailing, he's just like,
I don't know what to do. And he's frozen, maybe. He's like, I don't know what to do. Maybe that's it.
I chalked it up to, because Nick is also probably the most wholesome character in the movie. And even in the story. He becomes like the beholder of all these secrets. But I chalk it up to he's wholesome, so he thinks if he leaves, it's rude. Oh. Until he finally can't stand it anymore.
Yeah.
Until the thumping gets too loud, and he's just like, yeah, it's time to go. And then he can leave. And then one of the things I love is, we get to see his writing over a lot of the scenes. Because something that Ashley likes is that the movie implies that Nick wrote the book.
Oh, right. And so I was going to ask if that was in the book. And I've already discovered no.
When I said that we don't know what happens to Nick.
Right. So I'm like, so it's not that he wrote this book, The Great Gatsby, right? Mm-hmm. So then I guess if I were to pick another dislike, it would be that. Because I think that's a little hacky. I think it's a little
at the end, a
little cheesy, maybe.
He wrote The Great Gatsby. But he
wrote The Great. I didn't like that either.
Great, yeah. But anyway, but I like that we see his handwriting over a lot of the scenes, and I find it so funny when he's talking about, I've only been drunk twice in my life, but he writes once and then twice because he writes through it and then writes twice, almost like he's like. Yeah, no, I've been drunk twice.
Yeah, okay, it's twice.
But anyway, so I had a set. This is what we were gonna go through as we talked about this, and it's just veered off in every single direction.
Gone.
But there is one thing that I still, the two things I still want us to talk about, because I think we've got. Oh yeah, we're good on time. Mainly because I've got a lot to edit out too. That's behind the scenes, guys.
Oh yeah, some inside baseball for you guys.
So first, because we haven't talked about it yet, the difference between old money and new money.
Okay.
In the 20s, because I know these. I mean, maybe not, but I feel like these are actual terms that were used in the 20s.
Yeah.
Because I know, as we kind of touched on, and I think Raging Bull. New Hollywood versus old Hollywood.
Yes.
So, Jeremy, would you like to tell the people what old money is?
Old money is Well, it also depends on timeline as well. But old money
In The Great Gatsby, what is old money?
Old money is these are generations of wealth, right? So you're like third or fourth generation wealthy from family money, essentially. Right. Now, new money is first generation rich. I'm rich now, and it's because of me. Right. Or, something that I've done.
To that effect. Right.
That is old versus new money. And, there's animosity between both because, old money thinks that new money is, tacky and whatever. New money thinks old money is stuffy and privileged and, jaded and whatever. So.
And nowhere is that personified in Gatsby and Tom's rivalry, not only over Daisy but over status and money. Tom is old money. They don't really talk about his family, but in the flashback when he and Daisy get married, they kind of talk about it. But Tom is old money. All his monies come from family, and that's the way he likes it. That's the way it's always been.
Yep.
And we kind of get that when he talks about, how he's pretty much a racist.
Yeah. I wouldn't even say pretty much.
He's a racist. But like I said, in the book, he's way worse. He calls his staff the word I will not say.
Oh, he's way worser.
Yeah, worser. That's why that opening line says it's not politically correct, because Fitzgerald uses that term. But anyway, and then Gatsby is new money. He made all his money buying up drugstores to run booze out of. Shout out to Boardwalk Empire. You see that in Boardwalk Empire. Because this is, of course, during the Prohibition, where for whatever reason our government decided alcohol is illegal. You can't sell alcohol anymore. Dumb mistake.
It was really dumb, but it gave us one of the coolest things in the entire world, organized crime.
Yes.
So,
yeah. Shout out to the Mafia.
Yeah, shout out to organized crime.
Shout out to Godfather.
Nothing is cooler than organized crime. So
until it's not. Shout out to our Goodfellas episode.
Until it's not.
Until Tommy pulls a gun out and shoots you.
Yeah, that's right.
But yes. So Ashley and I had to look that up because we couldn't remember how Gatsby had made his money.
I'm glad you said it because I don't remember either.
Yeah, so he bought up drugstores.
I thought the drugstore thing was a lie. So I don't even remember him.
Well, that's what Ashley and I just kind of termed
confirming that was true.
I don't think they ever confirm it, but we just kind of assume because Wolfshire or Wolfshire, however it's pronounced, Meyer is definitely the ringleader in all this. Gatsby, I just refer to Gatsby as the middleman.
Yeah.
Because he's the one who always takes the phone calls, it's Chicago on the phone, or it's, he's the middleman. He's the guy to make sure that everything's running smoothly. That's why, I don't think anyone of Meyer's inner circle cares when he dies.
All of those cities are extremely important, by the way. Watch Boardwalk Empire.
Yeah.
Because
for sure.
Chicago, New York, Atlantic City, all of those places are really important.
Yeah. For sure. But yeah, so that's how Gatsby made his money. And I hate to agree with a racist asshole, but as Tom states in the hotel scene, because Gatsby says, I have just much money as you. That means we're the same. And he's like, oh, no. We're not the same. And, and it's true. Old money, new money is not the same.
And you heard it here first. Rain agrees with the racist. So
listen, at least I'm not an anti-Semitic like the frozen head of Walt Disney underneath the Disney castle in Disneyland. It's there. Dig it up.
Wow.
But yeah, it's they're not the same. And I agree.
I do like that we have this visual representation of the separation of the two by the bay, right? The bay is the literal separation.
East Egg and West Egg. West Egg is new money. East Egg is old money. And it's also personified in their houses.
Are those real places, by the way? East Egg and West Egg? Okay.
For sure.
I've never been to New York. So
bro, let's go to New York right now.
Ugh.
Go fuck yourselves, guys. This episode's over. We're going to New York. No, yeah, they're real places. Okay. and also it's personified new money versus old money in their houses.
Yeah.
The Buchanan home is very classy. It is very classy, even though it's owned by an asshole. Nice pillars, nice garden.
It's not over the top. It's simplistic in its design, and it's
exactly. As were Gatsby's castle, not mansion, castle is just very gaudy. It's over the top, and and we get that when he gives Daisy a tour. Had these flown in from Normandy.
Now, he's got like a pool like in his house, like inside, like or something like a water feature people were in. And were able to swim in. I think there was maybe I don't know. It was nuts.
I don't know, but homie apparently also owns the beach too.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty cool.
Because Nick says I made use of his beach. So I mean, homie got the money.
Really wish we would have seen that hydroplane.
I know, bro. That's the only thing we get to see. Yeah, I went up in his hydroplane.
It's like, hey, Baz Luhrmann.
Show us the hydroplane.
CGI me a hydroplane. It's not like you can't do that.
Fucking George. If George Lucas can CGI little rebel helmets moving in cod pits in a almost 40-year-old movie, you can CGI me Leonardo DiCaprio's face on a hydroplane.
Sure. I don't like the over editing the Star Wars, but that is fine.
Anyway,
so. I'm very glad we didn't have to see that because that would have made the movie longer. So,
but it's only 2 hours.
It's 2.5 hours.
2 hours and 22 minutes.
It's so long.
Don't
I guess
over exaggerate.
I think it's just because Well,
I will agree. After Daisy and Gatsby start their affair, the pace of the film does slow down dramatically.
I'm telling you, I was on board until then. I was like, oh, maybe this movie isn't that bad, and then it just got boring for me. Again, this story, this movie, these types of movies, they don't interest me. So, I'm also watching a movie I don't care about. So there was that as well. I mean, no matter how good Carey Mulligan is, I'm still bored as hell.
And Leo DiCap?
Yeah, I mean, Leo was good.
So Jeremy.
Yeah.
How about those party scenes?
All right, so the party scenes, especially the first one,
that Nick is the only one invited to, which actually is very significant, because as Jordan states, you just show up, and Nick was like, "Well, I was invited. I have an invitation," which kind of alludes to that Gatsby has some sort of respect for Nick. Like, you don't just have to show up. Like, I will invite you. Or maybe maybe I'm reading too much into it.
He for sure knew Nick would never show up. Right.
Just on his own volition.
There's no way. Because, I mean, even while he was living there were parties going on that he didn't go to.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't even go to see what was going on.
Yeah.
Right?
He had to read those stock books.
Listen, he's super into stocks these days.
Stonks.
So I think that might be why. I know we are in the middle of a Wall Street revolution at the time of this recording.
Shout out to GameStop.
Shout out to GameStop
For ruining everything.
The memes are amazing. So I think that's why he knew
Nick
was related to Daisy. Somehow he had to have, because he needed Nick to go to the party.
Well, and as Jordan says, like, he threw all these parties waiting for her to walk in. I just happened to be the first one who knew her.
Right.
But see, and Ashley said that maybe he asked around. I want to know, because on the invitation it says Mr. Carraway. I was like, how did Gatsby know his name?
I think
Ashley just said he probably asked around.
Jordan had met Carraway by that time.
That's true.
And so if Jordan was a regular at his parties, I think that connects the two. It connects Daisy, and she just found out that Carraway is living in this house and is related to Daisy.
Right.
A person she already knows.
Right. Anyway, so the first party that Nick goes to
is insane.
Would you want to go to one of those parties?
No. Way too overwhelming. I would. It's my worst nightmare.
Would you have cried in the corner?
Yeah.
You wouldn't have made it to the corner with all those people, because even Nick gets shoved in.
No, it's my worst nightmare. And again, it's overwhelming on purpose.
Right.
Right.
Because we're seeing this from Nick's eyes.
Right. And so this first party is outrageous. And the music's dope. Again, they're using the modern music and which is cool. And there are people swinging on chandeliers. There's dancing. There's booze.
Copious amounts of booze.
Copious. And of course, this place is gigantic, and so every place is like its own side party, you know. And again, it's shot very quickly. You don't stay on something for long enough, right? And so it's fast. It's
loose.
And it's just nuts, which is the beginning 20 minutes of Moulin Rouge. And so, and maybe the rest of Moulin Rouge. I will never know.
Yeah, it's wild. You know, and again, you know, we're seeing this from Nick's perspective. And, you know, he can tell it's overwhelming, but, you know, where you and I, would be like, oh, no.
I'm leaving. Yeah.
He embraces, because, you know, he tries to find Gatsby, because I guess maybe to thank him for inviting me. And, you know, he gets all these other rumors. Like one of the bartenders is like, oh, I've never seen him. He doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so Nick's like, all right, we're getting drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's get fucked up.
And I did like the reveal of Gatsby. That was kind of neat. I like that.
I mean, going back to us kind of shitting on all the blue screening, that blue screen's not too well, but I do love that shot. Just like, I'm Gatsby, and we get the horns like, brrr, like, because we're seeing it not only from Nick's perspective, but for the audience, we're like, oh, and
Gatsby.
And Nick just kind of insulted him. Oops. And then we get the very gifable.
Yes. Yes, another meme of DiCaprio holding a drink. So I like that, and I do think that the blue screen is used well in this part of the movie because it's so otherworldly. It's so different than anything else, and I really wish that he had just kept it to Gatsby.
Just the house. Yeah.
I mean, I think anything associated with Gatsby, that's fine, right? Because again, it's meant to be sort of surreal, right?
Right.
And a little off
because Gatsby is playing this part,
and so over the top, right? That now that we have it in other places, it looks less so, and it just looks like everything else.
Right.
Well, that's fine, I guess. But yeah, the party scenes were dope.
And then after this first party, the subsequent parties that Nick attends are toned down.
They're less so, yeah.
Because now he's kind of used to these big...
Right, so where they may be the same amount of nuts and outlandishness, it's to us, the audience, and to Nick, it's less so because he's gotten used to it.
Yeah, because he's gotten used to it. So I thought I saw Billy Zane in the movie. I was like, oh my God, is that Billy Zane?
Oh my God.
He's one of the guys who's all like, I heard he killed a man that he kills for fun.
I thought the same thing. I was like, that guy looks like Billy Zane.
I literally had to pause it. I was like, because I've never noticed it until now. I was like,
I knew it wasn't Billy Zane because he would have been older then,
and he would have been bald.
And so I was like, Billy Zane. I was like, that's not Billy Zane, but that guy looks like Billy Zane.
You should listen to your friend Billy Zane. It's a walk off, everybody. That's his best role.
Oh dear God.
Okay, one final thing.
Okay,
and then we can wrap up.
Sure.
Is the music? As we have alluded to, well, not alluded, we flat out said it. There is a bunch of modern music in the film. Baz Luhrmann got a lot of artists who were, I mean, they are popular still, but really 2013, they were on their game. Lana Del Rey, Florence and the Machine.
I love Florence Welch. I think Florence Welch is one of the best voices in music. But
did you know her song is in the first party scene? After,
No, because I'm so overwhelmed. I didn't notice anything.
So it's when Nick, after the reveal of Gatsby, and Nick's been left alone because Gatsby wants to talk to Jordan.
Right.
And so Nick's like, all right, well, I'm getting fucked up then. And we see him on the couch and things have kind of slowed down. And the song that the girl on the piano is singing is Florence's song that she wrote for the movie.
Okay, so I wasn't listening for Florence. I was listening for the song.
Well, and I could have sworn that was Florence.
She's pretty recognizable. I think you would know if it was Florence.
But because they put her in a red wig, the actress. Ashley looked it up, and no, it wasn't Florence, but she was lip syncing the words for the song.
I know we opened the show with Lana Del Rey. I'm not a fan of Lana Del Rey.
So neither am I.
Like, not even a little bit.
The only song I really like is "Summertime Sadness." It's good. It's got a nice beat to it.
Right.
But the reason why we opened the episode with Lana Del Rey is because her song that she wrote, I think summarizes Gatsby and Daisy's relationship.
Okay.
Will you still love me when I'm young and beautiful? When I'm not, or I don't know. Just go back and rewind the episode.
Dude, it's Lana Del Rey stuff.
She's just weird and awkward.
I agree.
Depressed and awkward. But then, as we mentioned, Jay-Z was a consultant for music.
It came out the same time, I guess, that Watch the Throne came out. Right.
Shout out that Jay-Z and Kanye collab.
Shout out to Watch the Throne.
If no one has ever listened to Watch the Throne, how dare you? It is a phenomenal album.
It's so good.
If you thought Jay-Z and Linkin Park's collab was awesome, you ain't heard nothing until you hear Jay-Z and Kanye.
Yeah, I mean they're super dope. It's a great album, and some songs are featured in this movie.
Yep. No Church in the Wild, fantastic with the bass and the guitar. Who Gonna Stop Me?
Who Gonna Stop Me?
Which foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing the end of this episode.
Sidebar. I did that when I was rewatching the movie. When Gatsby's, asking Nick if he would agree to have Daisy come over for tea, and he's trying to get him to hang out with him, and he's like, we could swim in the pool. I haven't used it. I haven't used it all summer. I was like, foreshadowing. Sorry if those levels are really high, everyone. But Ashley was like, did you just sing foreshadowing? I'm like, well, yeah.
But he said.
Because he's going to die.
Yeah.
In the pool that he hasn't used all summer. And the one time he uses it at the end of the summer, he dies.
Jason Clarke shoots him.
And then Jason Clarke shoots himself. Or does the butler shoot him? Because I think the butler has a gun.
Does he?
I'm pretty sure because the butler's standing there like this.
I did notice that, but I mean, you have that shot of Jason Clarke with the gun in his mouth.
It's so wide because Baz goes all. Another part of the cinematography that I don't like. I mean, I like that it was a wide shot, but it was so far back. You just see Jason Clarke's body over here.
Yeah.
Gatsby in the pool, and then the butler's just right there.
Yeah.
Because he's holding. No, he's got the phone next to him, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But anyway, so the music is great. I mean, the soundtrack is pretty dope actually, because it's got a lot of original songs that artists were asked to write for the film, like Fergie wrote a song, which is also featured in the movie. A Little Party Never Killed Nobody.
Oh my god,
it's a pretty dope song.
Fergs, yeah, she's Fergalicious. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, and she got that MILF money.
Oh my god. Yep, she sure does.
But as we mentioned, there are certain parts where modern music just does not fit this aesthetic, which is kind of crazy because we're kind of talking about it off mic and off camera. That Jay-Z, I may be misquoting him, but I'm about 75% certain. The quote he said when he was asked, why did they go with modern music for the film? And he said in the 1920s, jazz was the hip hop of that time. And so
he's kind of right.
Incorporating hip hop with the 1920s fits, which I agree. When we hear No Church in the Wild is when we're, introduced to New York when Nick first arrives, and it fits perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, again, that and Who Gonna Stop Me in the
apartment party.
I mean, that was rad. But some of the stuff in the Gatsby's party was rad. But then you're right. At the Speakeasy, I don't think it fits. I think it's a little too much. I think we need a little bit of period music still,
Yeah, but I mean, that's not to say that, I don't know about you, but I enjoy the music. It just, in terms of in the actual film, as we've said repeatedly, it just doesn't work in certain parts. So, yeah. So, Jeremy.
All right.
Are you ready to wrap up?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you're tired of talking about this movie and how off the rails this episode has gone. But I mean, I feel like we've had a very genuine conversation.
I think it's gone just fine.
Yes. Probably not as good as our American Psycho episode because that flowed perfectly.
Oh, that was so good.
Like a good.
You guys remember when we were good at this? You know,
remember when we didn't start filming?
We didn't suck at this. I will never watch this movie again. I will tell you that. I have absolutely no reason to.
I almost bought the 4K.
Oh, did you?
And I was gonna call you and be like, "Hey, just keep the one you took from me.
Yeah, keep it in the trash."
I was gonna say, I told Ashley, I think I'm gonna call him and just tell him to keep it. She's like, he's probably gonna throw it away. I'm like, yeah, probably. But I didn't know.
Take a picture of it in the trash, send it to you.
Or it's going to be like that meme, like how to watch The Great Gatsby, and it's going to be in the trash.
Yeah, I mean, overall, I didn't like it, but there are things I liked about it. We discussed that. I don't know, man. I don't recommend it, but that's... if you like The Great Gatsby, watch it. I don't know. I don't like the story, so, I mean, that's my problem.
I mean, and like I said last week, and I know I've said it repeatedly during this episode, is I do enjoy the movie, but I do acknowledge that it's not a perfect film. I should have picked this for when we did our bonus episode back in season 3. I just couldn't think of anything because I do think it has value for people who enjoy the book. Like I said, there's all these great visuals that Baz uses the descriptive words from the book to show us probably what we were seeing in our heads while we were reading the book, but if you're going into this expecting Oscar-worthy performances, you're going to be unfortunately sorely disappointed.
Yep.
If you're expecting Oscar-worthy cinematography, you're going to be disappointed.
If you're thinking you're going to get Wolf of Wall Street levels of CGI, forget it. Dude, when I saw that breakdown of them walking away from that yacht, and that wasn't
there. And I know the prison scene
blew me away.
I know the prison scene, it was all CGI, and when they showed it when I saw a video how they pieced together, I was like,
it completely blew me away.
I'm like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way that wasn't CGI.
Yeah.
But but with all that being said, if you go into this movie just wanting an entertaining movie, I think you will enjoy it. And who knows? Maybe I can. At least me. I know him. I can at least change some of you. I couldn't change you. I thought I knew there were certain things you weren't going to like, but I was kind of hoping that you'd been like, I actually enjoyed it, Rain.
No.
But maybe some of you.
I'm old. I'm set in my ways.
Yeah, I mean, he's secretly Cormac McCarthy.
All right.
So, Jeremy, what are we talking about next week? Even though the audience should already know.
We're not. So next week, I will be out of town. Going to go visit my buddy. So we're going to take a week off. I have something planned for the interim. We might... I would love to re-release our Stephen King short film.
You're going to have to talk to Alex about that, my guy.
On our page and on our YouTube channel. I think that would be fun for our listeners to watch.
Oh, so what you're saying is you want Alex to send me the final cut and then...
Yeah. We'll talk to him. It's not like we don't know him. So...
We got to call his agent, right?
Yeah, we got to call his agent, but...
didn't he just have hire on a new employee recently?
He just had a baby. So
that's the new employee I'm referring to.
Congrats to Alex. And
hey, buddy, if you've made it this far listening or watching, congrats, my guy.
He doesn't watch these.
He doesn't watch this.
He doesn't listen.
He loves us, but he doesn't love us that much.
No.
He's the stepdad we are trying to get approval from.
Listen, I've started just listening to 5 minutes just to make sure it sounds good. So
sounds good. Sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay, thank God. And so no, we are not going to have a episode next week. I will probably ask that we do a quick Zoom and release something just for recommendation. I do like doing those.
Yeah.
For the interim.
But okay, so then what are we talking about the week after?
So the week after, again,
you guys should know what's coming next.
Hopefully, if we've picked up some new people from Tombstone, which was an insanely popular post, we are discussing Charlie Kaufman / Ian Reid's I'm thinking of ending things. So
Excuse me.
By that I mean we are going to be discussing both the book and the movie. So
as we talked about off mic, I've started listening to the book.
Yep.
Because I want to listen to the book first.
Now,
before
see,
I go
that's
into the movie.
I'm really glad you did it that way because I did it the opposite. And
okay.
I've discussed it with my buddy Zach, who we've talked about on the show before.
Shout out to Zach again.
Yeah, hey buddy. He has a fresh Bambino also. Her name's Lila.
Bambino. The Bambini.
Bambino. So he listened to the audio and then watched the movie, and we both determined
That's the way to do it.
either way is fine.
Oh, okay.
Either you can see how Kaufman interprets the source material, or you can get a Rosetta Stone for the adaptation, because the book will answer it for you. So,
I've started listening to the book.
Yeah.
The reason why I did it that way is just because the audiobook is 5 hours long, which isn't bad for an audiobook.
No, not for a book. It's very
the
short.
Dune one, my Dune audiobook, which I need to pick back up, is 20 hours long.
Oh my God.
I mean, it's not audiobook is
longer.
like 70 hours.
Yeah, it is long. It's like 72 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. It takes you 3 days to get through it.
Yeah,
But,
and that's like solid 3 days, no sleeping.
Yeah. But I've started listening to it, and, I'm already on chapter 3 or 4.
They're pretty quick.
And I'm really digging it, the third chapter where we get this almost break in the narrative where
There are several. So
where
there are
they're
several
like,
interludes.
I can't believe he would do that.
There are
I was
several
like,
interludes. Yeah.
do what?
And so if you had watched the movie first, you would understand what those are. But then again, you doing it this way is perfectly fine also. Again, it's either do you want to see how Kaufman interprets the source material, or do you want an answer to a source material? Do you want the clues, right?
Yeah.
And so either way works. I think that we did it the opposite way is perfect. I think it's fine.
Before we end it, again, digging it.
Yeah.
I can't wait to actually watch the movie.
Oh, it's
and
gonna be rad.
I'm actually kind of glad. I mean, I'm a little upset we're taking another week off, but it still gives me time to really listen.
And it gives you guys time
Yeah.
to listen and read the book.
Who knows? Maybe we may live stream this episode and be like, "Yo, tell us what you thought." No, we won't do that.
No, because you guys wouldn't even comment, you jags.
We'd be sitting here for 3 hours.
Yeah,
like,
we'd be like,
comments. Is
that? Oh, it's my mom. Hi, Mom.
Hi, Mom. Alrighty, guys. Well, we're gonna go ahead and end it there because this episode has been all over the place.
But don't worry, it's all worth it because you guys get to listen to Who Gonna Stop Me Now. So
yes, we are going to play Who Gonna Stop Me? From Watch the Throne in its entirety.
on the audio version, not the
YouTube version.
YouTube version.
I'm
Sorry,
so
guys.
sorry, guys. If you want to hear it, I mean, just look it up on YouTube. But if you really want to hear it in its entirety after we're done talking, go over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. Well, after all of that, we hope everyone enjoyed The Great Gatsby. We will see you guys in 2 weeks for I'm Thinking of Ending Things. And thanks for listening.